Hello, beekeepers and bee advocates. This is Patrick with Slightly Buzzed Bee Works. We're in the Slightly Buzzed Apiary in Raleigh, North Carolina. And today we're going to be doing our first hive inspection. For right now, this hive has been pretty active. Our first video, we installed the package. I went ahead and marked the queen and checked, and I didn't see any eggs when I first went in here. As you can see, there's a lot of activity, and it's been like this usually on the later in the afternoons or later in the day, when the temperature's been right and it hasn't been raining. We've had a lot of rain and the mornings are fairly chilly. I'd say probably upper 40s to 50s, and they're usually pretty calm. But right now it's close to 60, and you can see there's a lot of activity in the hive. And today, during our first inspection, we're going to go ahead and check for nectar, pollen, and brood and see what we can find. I just saw a bee walk in there with a little bit of pollen on her legs. And let's go ahead and see what they've got stored up. I'm going to go ahead and knock on the door and just say we're here. Same thing underneath. Give that a moment. So I went ahead and installed the honey supers on top here just in case, but I don't see a lot of activity up here. And this is just where the bees should be storing nectar, but they still have the whole hive body underneath. So they have the main brood chamber. This should be another brood chamber, but there's probably going to be a lot of honey stores in here. And then the honey super, which is just a medium. And looks like most of this is the wax that I had left over here before. I don't see any bees in here. And that's okay. Yeah, still empty. Again, we had honey in here, and they drew out these comb last year with the other colony. I was kind of hoping they'd start going up here and filling it, but hopefully that wax will entice them a little bit more as they start filling up. Yeah. So again, here's another one that they drew up on their own from the last colony. Oh, there's one bee in there. Maybe they're going to get started soon. Something to look forward for the next video. Put a queen excluder in between the brood chamber and the honey supers, and it looks like they're already starting to glue stuff down. Looks like a couple of them are up here. Yeah. So a lot of bees on the second hive chamber or brood chamber here for us, so hopefully that's a good sign. Start from this side for right now. And when you're going through your inspections, make sure you start from at least the second frame in. This way, if your queen is on the other side of that first frame, you can at least segregate her a little bit. And this is all honey. Look at this. This is amazing. That's all capped honey right there. And some bees getting some dinner. That's what the other side looks like real quick. Ooh, wow. So this frame's almost fully built with honey. And some of this is probably left over from the original colony. Now we can go to our first frame. Not too much. There's a bit of pollen in here, so that's good. That's what we want to see. Right there. And the capped honey right up above it. So, and it does look like they have a little bit of nectar. You guys can see that glistening there. They're starting to make honey out of that. So put that aside. This is about 2 weeks after we installed, so they've already started to glue some stuff down. Doesn't look like they're building here. Or here. If I remember correctly, when I set this hive up, I had just the first frame that was honey, and everything else they've done on their own. They're already starting to collect over here, so that's a good sign. I don't know if you guys can see these bees right here, but the bees with their heads poking out. There's a little guard bees. They're wondering what we're doing. Try not to disturb them too much. Just be very careful. Trying to get in there. Okay. This is all honey, or I'm sorry, this is nectar. A little shiny stuff there. Wax that they've capped honey in. It's fresh, and then pollen. So, oh, and look at that. We have larvae already in the second brood chamber, so that's good. Nothing capped yet. Now, I did mark the queen. Unfortunately, I marked her in the wrong color. I grabbed the wrong pen. I grabbed white instead of blue, but if we see a little white dot running around, that's going to be our queen. This is almost all honey right here, so they're starting to fill this out. That's good. Put this back down. Let's go ahead and give them a little smoke to push them back down. Don't want to accidentally grab one of the bees with a hive tool. So here we have a great example of cap brood. It's looking good. Nothing sunken in. Let's see if we can get a better shot of that. And we got some burr comb at the bottom. I'll have to clean that up in a bit. Capped honey on the corners. That's exactly what we want. Just making sure none of these are queen cells. It doesn't look like they're peanut shaped at all, and I'll show you those if we have any, but I'm hoping we don't. But this is a really good frame. Look at that pattern. There's hardly any cells that she missed. Let's come back a little bit. Hardly any cells that she missed on this. And these are all going to be new bees. So that's really awesome. Let's check the other side. Okay, we have capped honey at the top. More brood in the middle. Even some nectar being stored on the side there. So this is really good. I'm really impressed with this queen. It's only been 2 weeks and she's already made it up to the second super. I'm going to clean up that burr comb real quick and save that so I can melt it down later. Not seeing a queen in here though. That's okay. So I've cleaned up the burr comb on the bottom. Let's go ahead and put this back in for now. And with the brood and the honey, these frames start getting really heavy. It's why I'm switching back with my hands and dropping the phone for a minute. So I do apologize about that, but when they start weighing a bit, I want to make sure that I don't drop them. Oh, there's our queen. Under my finger. I'm just going to put this back in real quick. Not even going to look. I'm going to gently push this back into place. Oop, clean up some burr comb back here. There's more on the side here. Oh, somebody's hitching a ride. Okay, so let's put this one back in. The reason I'm turning this around is because you can see the white wax on this frame right here. Got in the way of the white wax on this frame. So I wanted to make sure that everything fit back together well. I'm being very careful because I know my queen's on this frame. This was the first, this is going in next. Gently nudge comb back into place. Grab that last frame. You guys, honey does weigh a lot on a frame. So if you guys are more comfortable working with bees in mediums or even 8 frames, that makes the bodies lighter. The mediums, so the one we pulled off over here is a medium super. And you can use 3 of those for a hive body instead of the deeps that I have. If you use 3 of the mediums instead of 2 deeps, that should be sufficient. Take this off. Now I know my queen's in the top currently, so I'm going to take my lids here. And yes, they glued the inner cover to the telescoping cover. I'm just going to move that super. Looks like we have a bunch of bees just hanging out on this side right now. They're not really spreading out. Let's find out why. Clean up the burr comb while we're at it. What I'm really hoping to find are some eggs. And I know I have a queen. Just want to make sure that she is in fact laying. Okay, we definitely have plenty of pollen right here. Not seeing any eggs yet. But I do know she is laying because we saw the larva in the top. Oh, there we go, even more. See if we can find some eggs in this. Yep, there we go. So we have eggs, which I don't know if you can see them in the camera. Those are those little white specks on this side over here. And then over here we have larvae. So I am happy. They have nectar, they have pollen, they have eggs, so I know my queen's doing well. I'm going to go ahead and just put the hive together and call it a day. Hopefully make sure that I don't squish anybody. Now let's grab this. And again, the smoke just interferes with their... Oop, someone's about to get squished. The smoke just interferes with their receptors on their antenna. And they'll immediately start sucking down some honey, which is fine by me, because that means they're not sitting there at the top guarding, and allows me to go ahead and close up the hive a little bit better. One bee that's really interested in the camera right now. So we'll go ahead and put this back together with two hands because I know my queen's on the edge here. Okay, so now we've got that on. We'll go ahead and put our queen excluder on the top so that our queen doesn't start laying in our honey stores. I'm not seeing her, but that's okay. Alright, so we're good there. Now let's go ahead and get our honey super on top. Now if you match the opposite corners, you'll end up with a square fit. So do remember that when you're putting your hives back together. I just want to make sure that nobody's getting trapped underneath this, so let's see if I can pop this off. I don't think they should be because I've patched that up. Go. Alright, so the inner cover goes on top. And what I mean by corners, check this corner and come directly diagonal and check that corner. have a square fit. Really wondering how they got up here to go ahead and glue this down so well. But I think this was facing the bottom at some point over the winter. And that's why it got stuck. Put this on as gently as I can. Alright, epic fail there. And there we go. This is all put back together. I'm really happy with this because I saw the queen. The white dot, although it should have been blue, worked. They're collecting pollen, which is really good. Pollen is what they use to feed their brood, and it's their protein source. They're collecting nectar, which is their carbohydrates or their sugars, and they're actively collecting that. There's one with pollen. And they've got eggs, they've got brood, they've got a massive amount of brood. I'm expecting this population to go ahead and just boom in the next, probably a couple days here. Next week I should have all the brood in this second deep over here should be hatched within probably a couple days, it looks like. So that's going to be awesome. And then they're going to have a much stronger force to go ahead and collect things like pollen and nectar and water. And we do have a lake, actually a pond down the road in the neighborhood here. So that's probably where they're getting their water from. If not, I do know that one of my neighbors actually mentioned, "Oh, you have bees, it's excellent. I've seen so many of them just, grabbing water at the bird bath." And she just lets them drink. And I said, "I'm so sorry, I'm trying to keep water out for them." This was last year. And she's like, "Oh yeah, don't worry about it. I love the bees." So I just let her do what she wanted to do, and the bees will get water where they want to get it from. And I'm really happy with this hive, and hopefully we can split this in the coming weeks. Maybe not next video, but maybe the video after that I can do a quick split and get this hive going. We just finished our first inspection of the hive here for 2020, and I'm really impressed. That queen's been hard at work. There are tons of larvae ready to be hatched and ready to have adult bees, so I'm really happy to see that. There was also a lot of new nectar, which was amazing. That means that they're going to have a lot of honey stores available. They're also collecting pollen a lot faster than I had anticipated. I've been checking them every couple weeks or every couple days when the weather's good. We've had a couple rainy days and colder days, especially in the mornings, and they haven't seemed as active. But I'm really glad to see them as active as they are and doing as well as they are. So I'm looking forward to hopefully splitting that hive into the hive that's sitting beside it. I do want to go through that hive real quick and just make sure that everything's looking good. And a quick shout out to Chrissy. She just got her package of bees today and installed them. And she did she actually called me and noted that she had a dead queen. So guys, if you're getting packaged bees, make sure that the queen is still alive. It does happen from time to time. Remember, the queens and the bees are not necessarily from the same hive. They won't automatically accept the queen just because she's a queen, and they're more apt to accept her if she's from that hive. But in most cases, queens aren't even from the same colony that they're getting bees from. So make sure that you do check your queens, make sure that they're alive. If not, talk to your supplier and see if you can get a new queen to go ahead and replace the one that died. If that does happen, it does happen. To me, it's been rare. I haven't had a failed queen, at least a dead queen on delivery, but it does happen. So definitely keep an eye out on that. But Chrissy, good job on installing those bees, and I hope to see some more videos or some pictures from your hives and see how they're doing throughout the year. Thanks for watching this video from Slightly Buzzed Bee Works. If you have any questions, comments, or would like to see something specific, let us know below. If you liked the video, click on the thumbs up and subscribe to follow us in our beekeeping journey. If you didn't like it, go ahead and give us a thumbs down, but be sure to tell us why.